So, you know, the demo and the positioning, that was excellent, really clear. I also really like the financial driver slide a lot. Dump the spreadsheet. I wouldn't show the spreadsheet.
The second to last slide?
Yeah, just dump
Just
that.
kind of do the key highlights.
Yeah, you could say, you could walk through the drivers and say, you know, our initial scale, and this is actually where I think the overall presentation is weakest, which is on customer insights and how the community bootstraps. So, you know, do you focus on Evanston first and Northwestern students and you know pre-populating your database with all the restaurants in Evanston, and then getting some adoption, and then you go out to the restaurants. I think sort of kind of explaining how that initial piece works would be useful, and then just any feedback you have in terms of how customers use it.
So go viral would be nice if you had something you could show about where, if I'm trying to get something together and I've already know about this agenda, but I'm bringing in somebody new, how I can easily, quickly get them in there, and all of a sudden now they're linked in, and now they can become a agenda user just by having been used by, when I invited Todd to something through it, they didn't have to be on there to start, but afterwards they are. And then they have access to it. So something that would show how that would happen, that's where the virality would come from.
Well, and in fact, like, I think, you know, the marketing approach, you list a lot of good tactics. It's not clear those are the best or most cost-effective tactics. And you know, you're definitely a case, you know, like you've identified with Parker, you know, there are people in social networks who tend to be the instigators who organize, right? Like when I worked on Schedule Plus, we used to talk about the executive assistant of the most senior person in the org chart. They were the big person you had to convince for group scheduling, because everybody wants to meet with the big cheese. The administrative assistant manages their calendar. You get that person, you get everybody in the organization who wants to meet with them.
I'm imagining a slide that shows a social network with the hubs, and you go and you label the hubs, and then you go out from there. Like we start with these hubs, and then you can see it goes.
You could. I think more important is figuring out how you identify those people and market.
The people would be heavy users of. I'm constantly putting on things and getting people together and stuff like that. Could be whatever.
Yeah. We've got it in our canvas. It's usually, or it's going to start with the Greeks.
But you got to show it.
So you know, you can say we know the Greeks tend to be instigators. We're going to target Greeks. So,
one tidbit. I know you guys showed us image of Zach. He won't be there.
I know. We just found that out.
Okay. So
we actually we asked him about it. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be in LA."
Okay. So just if you want to put
good catch. We actually were going to have a much bigger thing. We're thinking. Actually, we'd like to get your feedback on this. We're thinking about actually handing an iPad to like one of you guys or somebody else in the audience, and having you instead of Todd be the invitee. Risky, because they might not understand it or something like that. We're just going to go through it with them beforehand. But compelling, maybe to show how anybody can do this.
Good way of getting audience engagement.
Practice.
Yeah.
Give it to somebody.
Also showing that it works on PC, but also.
Oh, it works on an iPad.
Yeah.
One of the key insights I think you didn't highlight, like, you know, like as an example, Parker, likes to do likes to get this stuff together, but he hates. One of the things you guys need to also mention is he hates the hassle associated. He's not, you know, the type of people, the type of person who likes putting this stuff together, hates the hassle associated with doing it. Right?
Yeah, the mental state.
And the fact that when no matter how well they try to do it, they've always upset someone, or someone's out of the loop or something else. You know, there's always going to be that issue, and you know, Sagenda takes all that away. So it makes it, you know, it just simplifies life so much more. And I think it's an important insight to highlight that you didn't. I think your research probably, you know, has already told you guys that, but it's, you know, it's an important thing to think about. I thought, you know, having both slides up on both sides up front was very helpful. You know, demo was great. You didn't show anything on the restaurant side, which we knew.
Well, actually,
but you had the screenshot.
You didn't see it. I mean, the trouble is you showed the screenshot of Dave's Italian kitchen putting in something. Yeah. But it wasn't. That went by, and I didn't realize until it was almost gone that you were showing something from the business side.
And I missed it. You know,
Did you show something in the demo, or was it just the screenshot?
It was a slide. It's a mock slide.
Yeah, no, I liked the mock-up actually. I thought that was cool.
Right, so. but it went by, so like all of a sudden we're on the business side, by the way. We didn't get introed into it. So.
Yeah, right now the location of that in the presentation is as part of the value proposition. So the demo sort of shows the user value proposition. Then we've got two slides that are like, okay, here's why the suggestions are compelling, and here's how you can set them up.
So right at the beginning, when you're walking through the problem from Parker's perspective, you had like a bunch of slides that I think you could probably collapse to one. you know, instead of actually showing the multiple emails coming back, I mean, I think somehow you put a diagram together that kind of shows, you know, he sends out emails and texts, he gets back a whole bunch of stuff, and that's the problem, kind of thing.
By the way, I had one issue with the demo, which is not with the functionality, but it got across and the pop-up with the offers like that. I still had the same problem of, normally I expect that these people are doing these things. You have to be clear, is he doing this from a desktop and that's the only place he can do it right now? Because I look at that interface and said, that's only going to fit on a desktop, and it barely does that, right? It's so spread out. So if it really was, no, I'm putting together this thing and I'm going to do it from a phone, I'd really like to see something that shows I could do it from a phone. If you're saying it's a desktop, make it clear he's organizing this thing, he's sitting in his dorm room or something like that, just so I know what I'm expecting to see right now. So because at the moment, the layout is nice, the real estate is nice, but it's spread way out and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think of most people setting up, let's go out and celebrate while they're sitting in their dorm room. But if that's what you're saying it is, or whatever, you got to say that.
So just make it more clear that that's exactly what we're talking
Yes.
about. So that is what we're talking about.
Yes.
We made that technical
Yes.
decision right or wrong early on.
No, I'm saying that's fine. Make it clear going in, so that because most people get these messages from their phone, and they can be responding by phone, but the person organizing is running off a desktop at the moment. And
Right.
it's in the future when you go phone.
A couple of key points, you know, the only time you guys talk about your insights was on the second positioning side, as Todd said, you didn't factor that in more. I think you've got a lot of tactics, and Todd already gave you feedback on that. One thing I didn't see is like there's phenomenal opportunity for partnerships to help drive your growth, and you may want to talk about, you know, companies that would be on your short list of potential partners.
So we're without demo problems. When we timed this before, we were right at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? We talked about one financial slide that can be cut. What would you recommend?
I recommend cutting the first of the two. The overall tactics with SEO and everything, I'm not sure.
You didn't buy anything. I think talking about how you're going to get your initial community is
We've
is
talked
the
about that
most
and replace
important
that.
thing. Yeah.
And you're saying that they include partners in that. Okay, got it.
I think I would include something, you know, partners on that. On your financial side, you know, the equation is you have to study it to understand it. One way to just make it easier is just, you know, when you certify, you highlighted all these ways and you showed one up front, but if you can quickly just bring in screenshots of where, you know, how you're going to make revenue in those 3 spots, you know,
Yeah.
just bring them up, bring them back, pull them, you know, that you can just, it resonates. You're, you know, of all the teams, you're the first team that we've seen that actually showed where revenue fit into their demo. But if you reinforce that, I think if you just have a couple quick shots and reinforce that, it even becomes more powerful.
Yeah. That's easy.
Good. Okay. All right,
That's
we'll
it.
go to the next. We need the next team.